Well, when I was here, it was the 2-year program for the MFA, and I understand it's now 3 years that it takes to get through. So it was the Check Your Life at the Door program, and I can honestly say this isn't just snowing you. Out of all of the things that I've ever done, and I was a sergeant in the Air Force. I've been through a war. Grad school here was the hardest thing I've ever done. It really was. But the great part was that it taught me that no matter what you run into in the professional world, and this is something for you to know, no matter what you run into, you can get through it. You think your threshold is here, and it's amazingly way over here. Mm-hmm. And that's really overall what Mankato taught me, because, well, I think because we only got 3 hours of sleep a night for 2 years. and she was, actually, Kelly was asking me earlier about the difference, because they just closed Rent, and your voice is tired and such. And your body always shuts down. It really does. After you've completed a show, and no matter how many times you do it, that's what happens. Mm-hmm. Your body shuts down. And it'll recover. But in real life, once you get out of these walls, where you're getting up at the crack of dawn and doing classes all day, and then having, for the grad students, you have your assistantship to do, or you have your job to do to pay for school, all of the things that go along with it, and then you come to rehearsal, or you do the show at night here. I mean, you're beat, and then you go home and do homework, and it's just this constant thing. Mm-hmm. On tours and such, or in rehearsal periods, outside in the real world, yes, that is what it is, because you're constantly going. But once the show is up, it's just a show every night. So, what you're gaining here is you're knowing how far you can push yourself. But know that that's not always the case once you're out there. It's actually a really lovely way to exist. A couple of hours of work a night, and you're done. But the workload is it shifts. There are times when you have the marvelous contract where you have the 2 hours a night show, and then there's contracts where you're going from dawn till dusk, and they're both equally as important. And there's times when you'll need to take a job in entertainment because financially it's what you need at the time, and there are times when you'll be able to take a contract because artistically you need that fix. It all has its place. And I think the best thing that I learned here is how to manage that and how to find it. Your talent is part of it, and we talked about this earlier. Yeah. Talent is part of it, but it's certainly not all of it. You really have got to get yourself out there and have the drive to do it. Allow yourself to be, I don't want to say spread thin, but allow yourself to explore other avenues of entertainment, of theater, of music, all of those things. Mm-hmm. And it will give you more opportunities if you're just focused. And I'm not saying being focused on one thing is bad, because if that's where a path leads you, then that's great. But I think you just have much more opportunity if you allow yourself to go in directions where they lead you at the time. And I've been lucky enough to truly, from the time I left here, really constantly contract to contract.
That's crazy.
I really haven't stopped, but I also have gone in directions that may not have been in the theater New York world the most respected, savory kind. Really, I mean, I worked as a guest entertainer on cruise ships for a long time. I think there's a place for all sorts of entertainment, and I'm not of the mind that you should be ashamed of different aspects of theater. It's all theater, and there are people out there, audience members, that need all types of entertainment. Mm-hmm. You need to learn something at times from theater, and then sometimes you just want to escape and just be simply entertained. and if I need to tap dance in a hot dog suit to facilitate my being able to do right, or in a popcorn box, as witnessed this summer,
That's so
to facilitate, having a really juicy role in a poor paying equity production, then I'll do that, because you need different things at different times. I've been equity for, I'm going to say, 13 years now, and union-wise, there's really wonderful things about that that you gain from being a union member. But that's not saying that non-union theater isn't real theater either. I mean, the mass auditions that I told you about, SETCs, NDTAs, UP does all those things that you go into, and you can do one audition and have 100 different companies see you, and then you start doing regional theater all over the place. There's magnificent regional theater out there. It's not all. New York is fantastic. I love New York, but it's not just New York. There is theater. There's a need, truly, a need for theater, a need for entertainment everywhere. So to me, it's all of it is as important as in the almighty Manhattan. And I love it. I love that aspect of it. But they need theater just as much in Bismarck, North Dakota, as they do in New York. And some pretty magnificent talent comes and shines on all of those stages all over the place. It's a real blessing to be in a business where you get to do what you want to do, get paid for it, and have a blast doing it. It's a good thing. And I've been, like I said, very, very lucky to have done regional theater, New York theater, touring theater, cruise ships, singing in bands, jingles, commercials, print. I'm the whatever. Again, I gotta pay the bills. So whatever that takes, as long as for me, if I can do it in an entertainment venue, then to me that makes more sense. And I was laughing with Paul, with Dr. Hustles earlier, about what constitutes what is savory or unsavory to the theater community. Like in New York, it's okay to wait tables, but it's not okay to play a waiter as an extra in a film. You just go, I'd rather make my money somehow performing, rather than doing it in a completely outside thing. So I guess I'm just the theater parasite of sorts. I'll go wherever you need me.
I think most people that are successful are.
Yeah.
The other thing that you mentioned, talent is good, but it's not enough.
Yeah,
One of the other things, in all honesty, is being in the right place at the right time, having the right person meet you and remember you later, whatever it may happen to be. We lost track of each other right after she took off that first time, and got back together because we had a common connection with somebody that I had taught at another school before I even came here.
That's so cool.
The gentleman that's the producer of the Medora Musical that I was actually doing while I was in graduate school. My 3 summers, my summer going into grad school, the middle, and then out, is that gentleman that Tom was his teacher, and we have subsequently worked for him over the years many times, and it is in that circle of who you know, and then this producer knows this producer, and then he sees you in this, or he says, well, yeah, she's great on stage, but she also can do the, manage this, and it networks, and it moves out in a lot of different directions. But even so, even with Kurt, there was a huge gap between when I worked for him. Right out of Mankato, I did Medora, and then I did a national tour.
The Patsy Cline show.
This was for Kurt. That was Troop America. I did a Christmas show. Legend of St. Nicholas or something like that. I don't know. And then I did some of those regional auditions. So then I started going here, there, and everywhere, hired in to do a role in a show for 3 months at a time. Go to Florida and play the Baroness and the Sound of Music, or go to Denver and play Anna and the King and I, or things like that. You're just popping around all over the place. And I didn't work again for Kurt for a long time, because once I started doing the regional stuff, then and then I discovered the cruise ships, and I like that lifestyle. And so there was a big, long period of time where maybe 3 years ago I started working for this again. That's how much time can span that you still are networking with those same people. You never burn bridges. Always leave a contract, no matter how crazy it was, no matter how challenging. Always leave it on good terms. You don't ever want to burn bridges. That's very important, because my absence, like with Kurt, I mean, I certainly kept in touch with him to a point, but I didn't work for him for probably 13 years.
Right. But what was happening there, I was now coming into my second year doing the Medora Musical, and we rewrite the script every year. And one of Kurt's first comments and Greta was, we need a new sidekick. And all three of us knew her, and it was like, Em's coming off the cruise lines.
Yeah, well,
she'll be perfect.
And I had done, the reason I came off the cruise line, part of it was that I had done an equity tour of this Church Placement Ladies in 09 is when I came off. Because, you remember the TV show MASH?
Yes.
Father Mulcahy from that, William Christopher, was our pastor on that tour. So I came off to, it was already cast when he discovered I was free. But I wound up managing it, and I was the swing for all of the women. Talk about a big job and what Mankato would prepare you for. Holy carambas, that was big. And I went on for 3 of them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Talk about knowing your stuff.
Yeah, it was insane. And that was a huge, huge undertaking. I'd managed one tour prior to that, and that was probably 10 years before for Lost Highway. Oh, I forgot about that. I worked for Kurt for Lost Highway, the music and legend of Hank Williams. But yeah, that was huge. But Mankato, that's all of this. What they're beating into you is really important. It really, really is. And having a piece of paper for me, I can't say that, I go, I have an MFA, but that part is not the most important. I mean, you need the piece of paper, but that part of it isn't. The knowledge that you get, and the chutzpah, for heaven's sakes, for being able to make it through whatever kind of situation. And I think now how spoiled I've become, with the 2 hours a night, and I need my day off, and my this and that and the next thing, and I need a nap before I go and do a show. That's what goes in your head, and I think, nap? You never got naps before.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
One extreme to me.
Yeah, it is. But all of them, the culmination of all of the different kind of things, and allowing yourself to expand in directions that you maybe didn't think that you were going to head. All very important. And I so many people from my years here, and I know subsequent years, are working. To me, that's a huge testament to what this program is and what it does, and the quality of the people that they pump out. This producer that we're talking about, Kurt Wallen, who has the Troop America out of Minneapolis, he said many times, and I know I've heard other producers say, if someone comes to them from Mankato, it immediately goes into their head that this is a quality person. They really, it's a very highly regarded workhorse sort of a school, and that is revered when it comes to professional performance, because nobody wants to work with people who are difficult and won't do the work, and it's so much easier to have people that just do it, without question, and know their stuff on either side, know the technical end of it as well as the acting side, know how to sew a button on a costume if they need to, know, so that they're not just walking in and going, okay, it's time for rehearsal, and I don't know anything on the other side. That's really important. That's really important as well.
You clearly are one of those.
Well, a workhorse, German work ethic. My dad installed it.
Tom, do you want to talk at all about what you have seen in Emily, maybe as a student and as a professional, that is just makes her successful? Or
some of it's obvious as you're looking at her. I mean, she's one of those personalities that walks into a room and fills the space up. And she's always up. She's always high energy. And that stuff comes across big time. There are people that are appear larger than they are. And it's the part you can't teach an actor. You either got it or you haven't got it. And you can make someone a better performer, but you can't make them a performer. And part of this is the what else can I do? Because she's right. I mean, you name a part of this profession that you label entertainment, and she's gone out and done it. I remember this last year when you were in New York. First there was an audition for a show, and then there was an audition for a commercial, and it's like, yeah.
And let's not forget, for a little extra money, I was the audience for the Newlywed Games. We're doing this.
That's really compelling. Yes.
It was wonderful.
Do you want to talk about, and again, this is fairly obvious, but it's not often that somebody creates a scholarship and gives back to their alma mater. What was it about that experience that you really wanted to make sure others could enjoy and participate in?
I really believe in the product here. I really do, and it allowed me to become a much better performer, a much more dedicated, disciplined person, so that I could go out and do what I wanted to do. So, and I was raised to believe that education was very important, and giving back to the community was very important, and it just, for me, it just seemed like, I don't even really think I thought about it. I just thought when I got to a point where I had the means to be able to do it, it was time to do it. I certainly couldn't do it when I was making $300 a week at regional theater. But really, so when I think if you have the means to do it, it's just a wonderful. Mankato gave me a lot. Paul gave me a lot. The program really built me into the person that I am. I mean, obviously, continued down the road, but if that opportunity, and I paid for school myself, so that's, well, the Air Force helped, but I think that scholarships and grants, things like that, are a really good way to continue that. I think, honestly, and I'm never married, I've never had kids, anything like that, but I still believe that if I had them, I wouldn't put them through college. I'd give them, like, I'd pay for part of it, and I would encourage scholarships and pursuing that type of thing and some work and that kind, because I think when you work for something, you appreciate that something. And you worked for the scholarship. It's not like it's just handed to you. you work for those things, and I think it means more to you when those types of things are offered. And I think maybe that's kind of it in a nutshell. I think it's important when you are given something that you pay that forward when you can.